There's something sacred about your energy. It's the force that drives you, that fills your presence when you walk into a room, that powers your ambition, your creativity, your peace. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone deserves access to that energy. Not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. Not everyone who shows up in your life is meant to stay. And more importantly, not everyone is entitled to a seat at your table just because they want one. I learned this the hard way. As a woman in the public eye, I've dealt with criticism, betrayal, gossip, jealousy, and sometimes from people I once trusted the most. And at some point I had to decide, do I keep letting this in or do I start protecting myself? Do I keep allowing energy vampires to feed off my light? Or do I put up a wall not to keep love out, but to keep toxicity from getting in? You see, when you let just anyone into your emotional space, it's like leaving your house unlocked. They can walk in, rearrange the furniture, track dirt through the halls, and leave you to clean up the mess. It's exhausting. And if you keep doing it over and over again, you'll eventually find yourself drained emotionally, mentally, even physically. And for what? To make others comfortable, to avoid confrontation, to hold on to relationships that are clearly not serving your growth. There's a lesson in this. Not everyone deserves access to you, and learning that is not cruelty, it's clarity. Start paying attention to how people make you feel. After a conversation, ask yourself, do I feel energized or do I feel depleted? Do I feel seen or judged, uplifted or belittled? The answers to these questions are louder than words. Your body knows, your gut knows, you just have to listen. The world will constantly ask you to be available, to give, to share, to be on, all the time, but you are not a bottomless resource. You're not here to carry everyone else's weight while yours goes unacknowledged. It's okay, in fact, it's necessary to say no, to say, this isn't for me, to say, I love you, but I need space, to say, I'm choosing me, and let me be clear, protecting your energy doesn't mean building walls so high that no one can reach you. It means being intentional about who you allow in. It means knowing the difference between people who water your spirit and those who only drain it. It means recognizing that someone's history with you doesn't give them permanent rights to your future. Some people were lessons, not lifelong passengers, and that's okay. We're taught that boundaries are rude, especially women. We're taught to be agreeable, accommodating, selfless. But let me tell you something, self-sacrifice is not the same as love. You can be kind and still say no. You can be generous and still protect your peace. You can care deeply about someone and still decide they're not good for you, and you don't owe an explanation for choosing your well-being. I've had to let people go, friends I outgrew, collaborators whose energy didn't align with mine, even family at times who didn't understand my boundaries. It wasn't easy. Guilt will whisper that you're being selfish. Fear will warn that you'll end up alone, but neither of those voices tell the truth. The truth is that when you make space by removing the wrong people, the right ones finally have room to come in. The truth is that when you stop leaking energy to drama, you have so much more to pour into your purpose. The truth is that your peace is your power, and nothing is worth sacrificing that for. Protecting your energy is not a trend, it's a survival skill. Especially in today's world where we're constantly plugged in, constantly compared, constantly exposed. Guarding your inner world is how you stay sane, how you stay centered. It's how you preserve the best of yourself for the people and projects that truly matter. So start getting comfortable with saying no, not from a place of bitterness, but from a place of love for yourself. Unfollow the accounts that trigger you. Stop texting back the person who only reaches out when they need something. Decline the invitation that doesn't align with your peace. Walk away from conversations that lower your vibration. Your life is yours, and you get to decide who gets a front row seat to it. Here's the secret no one tells you. When you protect your energy, you don't lose people, you lose distractions. And what you gain is clarity, confidence, and a deeper connection to your true self. Because at the end of the day, you don't owe anyone access to your soul. That access is earned. It's for those who respect it, who reciprocate it, who value it. Everyone might want a piece of your light, but remember it's your light. Protect it, guard it, honor it, because you are the source. And you are worth protecting. There's this idea out there that strength means staying composed all the time, not letting anything touch you, that if you cry, you're weak, if you feel too deeply, you're too sensitive. If something breaks your heart, you should hide it behind a smile. But let me tell you something real. Strength isn't in pretending nothing affects you. It's in allowing yourself to feel everything fully, deeply, honestly, and still choosing to move forward. We live in a world that rushes grief, that silences vulnerability, that teaches us to bury our emotions under productivity, distractions, and fake positivity. But the truth is, when you suppress your emotions, you're not avoiding the pain, you're just delaying it. You're bottling it up, and sooner or later, it explodes, sometimes as anger, sometimes as anxiety, sometimes as total numbness. And you wake up one day wondering why you feel so disconnected from yourself. I've felt that, I've been there, I've gone through moments in my life where I thought, if I let myself really feel this, I won't survive it. Moments of heartbreak, betrayal, loss, loneliness, emotions so big they felt like they would swallow me whole. But they didn't, because I let myself go through it. I didn't run, I didn't numb. I sat with it, cried through it, and came out stronger, not because I avoided the pain, but because I gave myself permission to feel it. Here's the thing, feeling everything isn't the problem, letting it define you is. When you start to believe that your sadness makes you broken, that your failure makes you unworthy, that your past makes you unlovable, that's when the emotion becomes a prison instead of a process. Your feelings are valid, but they are not your identity. Pain is part of the story, not the whole narrative. You can feel devastated without being defeated. You can feel insecure without being incapable. You can feel lost without being a lost cause. The key is learning to separate the feeling from the fact. You can say, I feel like I'm not enough, while still knowing deep down that you are. You can say, I feel alone, and still remind yourself that connection is possible. Feelings are real, yes, but they are also temporary. They pass like weather. They are not permanent fixtures. The danger is when you start to wear your wounds like a name tag, when your identity becomes attached to the pain you've experienced. When every new relationship, every new opportunity, every new chapter is filtered through the lens of your past hurt. That's when healing becomes harder, because you're no longer just feeling the pain, you're living in it. And I get it, sometimes the pain is so familiar, it feels safer than hope. But you were not put on this earth to suffer in silence. You were not meant to carry every heartbreak like a badge. You are allowed to feel, but then you have to let go. You have to give yourself permission to rise, do the work, journal it, scream it out if you have to, talk to a friend, go to therapy, take the time to understand why something hurt you, but don't make your pain your personality. You are more than the people who didn't choose you, more than the mistakes you made when you didn't know better, more than the days when you felt like giving up. And guess what? You don't have to pretend to be okay all the time. You don't owe anyone a performance of perfection. The strongest people I know are the ones who have faced their darkest days and still choose to show up with light. They've cried in bathrooms between meetings, they've doubted themselves on stages, they've sat in silence with shattered hearts, and still they keep going. Not because they're fearless, but because they've learned that courage doesn't mean not feeling. It means feeling everything and moving anyway. There is beauty in your softness, power in your sensitivity. There is nothing weak about a heart that feels deeply. That's where the real strength lies. In your ability to hurt and still hope, to break and still build, to fall and still rise. You don't have to rush your healing. Take your time, but know this: you are not your pain. You are not your trauma. You are not your worst days. Those are just chapters, not the whole story. You are the author, and you can write something new. So feel everything. Feel the hurt, feel the anger, feel the sadness, but don't unpack and live there. Don't give it a permanent address in your soul. Let it move through you, teach you, soften you, and then let it go, because what defines you is not the pain you carry, but the way you rise from it, and trust me, you will rise. There's a quiet expectation in this world, especially if you're a woman, to shrink, to dim your light so someone else can shine, to tone down your voice so you don't come off too loud, too bold, too much. From an early age, we're taught to soften our presence to keep others comfortable. Don't be too opinionated, too ambitious, too beautiful, too successful, too strong. Be just enough, but not more. Let me tell you this, from experience, the world doesn't benefit from your silence. It doesn't grow from your shrinking, and you certainly don't thrive by making yourself small so someone else can feel big. I've been in rooms where I was the only woman, the only brown woman, the youngest. The one with the accent. I've seen the glances, I've heard the patronizing tones, I've been underestimated, spoken over and second-guessed, but not once did playing small help me get ahead. If anything, it made me invisible. And being invisible is not what I was born for, and neither were you. You weren't put on this earth to make people comfortable at the cost of your own power. Your intelligence, your ambition, your confidence, these are not flaws to hide, they're gifts to own. And yes, owning them will make some people uncomfortable. Some will call you arrogant. Some will try to put you in your place. Some will walk away because your light is too bright for the smallness of their ego. Let them. You are not responsible for how other people choose to perceive your strength. You are only responsible for showing up as your full self, unapologetically. And sometimes that means taking up space in ways you were taught not to. It means walking into rooms and owning your presence. It means not apologizing for knowing your worth, for being proud of your accomplishments, for having big dreams and chasing them with everything you've got. Shrinking doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't make you more likable. It doesn't make you more loved. It just makes you less you, and the world needs you, all of you. I've learned that the people who truly belong in your life, whether in friendships, love, or work, won't ask you to be less. They'll celebrate your fire, they'll support your rise, they'll clap when you win, not compete, and the ones who feel threatened by your growth, they were never meant to stay. It's not your job to shrink so someone else can feel tall. It's not your job to downplay your achievements so someone insecure won't feel intimidated. That's their work, not yours. You don't owe anyone the diluted version of yourself, not in the boardroom, not in relationships. Not online, not at family gatherings. You don't have to pretend to be less smart, less creative, less successful to fit in. If fitting in means losing yourself, it's not worth it. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive, when you were fully in your element, laughing with your whole heart, speaking your truth, standing tall in your passion. That's who you really are. And that's who you deserve to be every day, not just when it feels safe. Not just when it's convenient for others, but always. Yes, there will be people who try to make you feel like you're too much. Let them. You're not here to water yourself down to fit into shallow spaces. You're here to be deep, to be bold, to be real. And here's something I've realized, the very thing that makes you too much, for someone is exactly what will make you unforgettable to the right people. Your passion, your boldness, your fearlessness, that's what makes you magnetic. So don't ever apologize for it. There is nothing noble about shrinking. There is nothing inspiring about hiding your greatness. The people who change the world, who lead movements, who create art that moves hearts, who build empires, they never did it by playing small. They did it by standing tall in who they are, by refusing to let fear or insecurity dictate the size of their voice. And don't think for a second that you're being selfish by putting yourself first. There is a difference between arrogance and self-respect. Knowing your value is not arrogance, it's alignment. When you know who you are and what you bring to the table, you stop entertaining people who can't even recognize the worth of what's in front of them. So walk tall, speak clearly, laugh loudly, dream wildly. Live unapologetically, be too much if that's what they call it, because in a world that constantly tries to make you feel like you're not enough, being too much might just mean you're finally being exactly who you were always meant to be. Don't shrink, evolve, expand. Take up every inch of the space you deserve, because your light isn't here to be dimmed, it's here to shine. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do. Let's be real about that. It's not romantic, it's not pretty, It's not some dramatic Hollywood moment with tears and hugs and music swelling in the background. Sometimes it happens alone in silence, in pieces, in the middle of the night when the pain resurfaces. And most of the time, it's not even about the other person, it's about you. We're told to forgive because it's the right thing to do, because it's mature, because it's noble, but nobody really talks about how heavy it is to carry betrayal. Nobody prepares you for the weight of broken trust, for the ache that lives in your chest when someone you loved, someone you gave your heart, your time, your trust to hurts you. Whether it was a friend, a partner, a parent, a colleague, or someone who didn't even realize the damage they caused, the pain is real, and when that pain stays, it eats at you, slowly, quietly, so you hold on. Because holding on feels like control, it feels like justice, like maybe if you don't forgive them, they'll somehow carry the weight of what they did. But here's the truth, they may never carry it, you will. You're the one reliving the moment. You're the one rehearsing the conversation in your head. You're the one tensing up every time their name comes up. And they might not even remember, or worse, they might not care. That's why forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. It's so you can finally set down the load you were never meant to carry. It's so you can stop bleeding from wounds someone else left behind. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you're excusing it. It means you're choosing to stop giving your power to the pain. It means you're choosing peace over poison, and that takes courage, because sometimes we confuse forgiveness with reconciliation. But they are not the same. You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. You can forgive someone and still keep your boundaries. You can forgive someone and still hold them accountable, just not in your soul anymore. Forgiveness doesn't mean you reopen the door. It just means you're no longer standing at it, angry and exhausted, hoping they'll knock. I've had to forgive people who never said sorry, people who gaslit, who minimized, who blamed me instead. And it took me years to realize that waiting for them to acknowledge the pain was keeping me stuck. I was giving them the pen to write a story, only I had the power to finish. So I took the pen back. I stopped waiting. I decided to forgive not because they deserved it, but because I did, because I deserved peace, I deserved sleep, I deserved freedom from the anger that was eating at me, making me suspicious of good people, making me build walls too high for love to reach me. I deserved to move forward lighter, clearer, stronger, and I couldn't do that with bitterness sitting in the passenger seat of my life. You see, holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. It doesn't work that way. You think you're protecting yourself by staying angry, but all you're doing is letting them continue to control you long after they've exited your life. Forgiveness is radical. It's revolutionary. It says, you hurt me, and I'm still choosing to free myself from your grip. That's power, that's healing, that's rising, but don't rush it. Forgiveness isn't a deadline. It's not something you check off a list and suddenly feel better. Sometimes it's a daily decision. Sometimes it's messy and nonlinear. Some days you think you're over it, and then a memory floods back and you're angry all over again. That's okay. Be patient with your process. Healing isn't clean. It's real, and real is allowed to be complicated. What matters is that you want to forgive, that somewhere in your spirit you've decided you no longer want to live your life defined by what someone else did to you. That you want to be free, not perfect, just free, because at the end of the day, forgiveness is a form of self-respect. It's you saying, my peace matters more than your punishment, and that doesn't make you weak. That makes you wise, that makes you brave. Let go not to let them off the hook, but to unhook yourself from the past. Let go so you can walk lighter into your future. Let go so the pain doesn't spill into the parts of your life that have nothing to do with it. Let go, not because you forgot, but because you've finally remembered who you are and you're done letting someone else's actions write your story. You are not what they did to you. You are what you do with it. And if what you choose to do is forgive not for them, but for you, then that's not just healing. That's power, and you deserve nothing less. At some point in your life, someone will try to write your story for you. They'll label you, box you in, define you by your mistakes, your past, your background, your gender, your race, your age, as if that's all there is. They'll decide what you can and can't do, what you're capable of, how far you'll go, and the worst part, if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start living a script you didn't write. One full of limitations, fear, and second guessing. You'll start doubting your own voice, ignoring your own dreams, shrinking your own power, all because someone else told you, directly or indirectly, that you're not enough. Not ready, not worthy, but here's the truth you need to hold close, especially in the moments you feel small. You are the author of your life. No one else gets to hold the pen unless you hand it to them. And you don't owe anyone the right to write your story except you. Every story has plot twists. Every life has chapters that didn't go as planned. Painful moments, lost opportunities, seasons of self-doubt, wrong turns. Maybe someone left, maybe something failed, maybe you made a mistake so big you still carry shame around like it's stitched to your skin. But no matter what your past chapters hold, you have the power right now to rewrite the story. You have the power to decide that today is not the ending. It's a turning point, because the narrative others wrote for you, it doesn't have to be the one you live by. So many people walk through life carrying scripts they never questioned. Stories like I'm not lovable, I'll never be successful, people always leave, nothing good lasts. These narratives become internal laws, and the more you repeat them, the more real they feel. But just because a story feels familiar doesn't mean it's true. Familiarity is not fact. Comfort is not truth. Ask yourself, whose voice is this in my head? Whose expectations am I trying to meet? Whose approval am I still chasing? Because often it's not even your own story you're living. It's a script passed down from someone else, a parent, a teacher, a partner, a society that benefits from you staying small. And when you start to rewrite it, when you say, no, this doesn't serve me anymore, it's not just healing. It's rebellion, it's liberation. There's real strength in choosing a new storyline, especially when the world around you insists on recycling the old one. People might resist it. They might say, who do you think you are? That question used to sting. Now it fuels me. Who do I think I am? I think I'm someone who refuses to live in a narrative that was never mine. I think I'm someone who's allowed to grow, evolve, and outgrow the old version of myself. I think I'm someone who can begin again, not because I've forgotten who I was, but because I've finally remembered who I'm meant to be, and so are you. You don't have to wait for permission to change. You don't need everyone's understanding to take a new direction. This is your life. This is your pen. You get to decide what comes next. You get to say, yes, I went through that, but that's not where my story ends. You get to rise from every failure, rewrite every label, redefine every chapter. The old story might have been about survival. The new one, it's about becoming. You are not bound to your past. You are not stuck in your mistakes. You are not the role someone once cast you in. That version of you might have been necessary at the time, but you've outgrown it. You've earned the right to step into a bigger story, one that honors your strength, your wisdom, your fire. And here's the most beautiful part. The moment you choose to rewrite your narrative, you give others permission to do the same. You show people it's possible, that you can go from broken to whole, from lost to found, from silence to heard. You become proof that the story is never really over, it's just waiting for a new page. So write boldly. Don't water down your words to fit someone else's comfort. Don't skip over the hard parts they shaped you, but don't dwell in them either. Learn, heal, and move. Choose growth. Choose purpose. Choose power, and when you doubt yourself, because you will remember this, every great story has tension, conflict, and transformation. The mess doesn't make it meaningless, it makes it real. What makes it beautiful is how the character rises, how they reclaim their voice, how they take the pain, the pressure, the past, and turn it into purpose. That's what you're doing now. So stop reading the same tired script. Close the chapter that no longer reflects who you are. Pick up the pen and write something worthy of who you're becoming, because this is your story, and it's far from over. The eye-opening truth is this: life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't slow down for your doubts. It doesn't pause when you're unsure of your worth. It just keeps moving, and if you're not awake, not present, not intentional, You can blink and find yourself living someone else's idea of who you should be. The truth isn't always beautiful, but it is powerful, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. One of the hardest truths you'll ever confront is that not everyone who loves you knows how to respect you. Not everyone who says they care about you wants to see you grow. Some people only support the version of you that serves their comfort. The moment you begin to evolve, to speak louder, to stand taller, to stop apologizing, the dynamic shifts. And suddenly their love feels conditional. That's not your failure, that's their limit. But the eye-opening truth, you can't shrink yourself for the sake of keeping people close. Because if closeness requires your silence, it's not love. It's control, and you were not born to be controlled. Here's another truth. Healing doesn't always look like light and meditation and self-care baths. Sometimes it's rage. Sometimes it's crying in a parking lot. Sometimes it's finally speaking the truth you swallowed for years. Healing is not always graceful. It's often messy, loud, uncomfortable, but it's necessary, and the more you resist it, the louder it knocks. What nobody tells you is that your peace will cost you. It will cost you relationships built on your compliance. It will cost you the comfort of routine. It will cost you the identity you wore just to be accepted. But what you gain in return, clarity, freedom, alignment, is priceless. You will outgrow people. You will outgrow versions of yourself. That doesn't make you fake. That makes you alive. You're allowed to pivot. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to evolve into someone your past self wouldn't even recognize, because that's what growth does. It surprises you. The truth is, not everyone gets a front row seat to your journey. Some people are chapters, not the whole book. Letting them go doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself enough to walk forward without being dragged by the past. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the person hurting you the most is you, through your overthinking, your procrastination, your fear of failure that keeps you playing small, the way you replay old stories in your head that no longer serve who you are now. We sabotage ourselves more often than we realize, not because we're broken, but because we've internalized lies we were told as children. You're not too much. You're not hard to love. You're not never enough. Those are echoes, not truths. Stop confusing echoes with reality. The eye-opening truth: you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to have it all figured out to start. You don't need everyone's approval to be valid. You just need to be honest, radically honest about who you are and what you want. Most people are too afraid to admit what they truly desire because they're scared of what it might cost, but the bigger risk. Settling for a life that never felt like yours to begin with. Life will test you. It will throw you into moments where you have to choose between comfort and growth, between who you've been and who you're becoming. And in those moments, choose you. Choose the version of you that's brave, even when you're scared, that speaks up, even when your voice shakes, that walks away, even when you don't know what's next. The truth is, you will be misunderstood. You will be judged, especially when you start breaking patterns, setting boundaries, and choosing peace over people. Pleasing, let them misunderstand you. Your worth isn't up for debate, and your soul was not built for explaining its evolution to those committed to misunderstanding it. You don't need to win everyone over. You just need to win yourself back. That's the truth, the most eye-opening realization you'll have. You've always had the power. You've always had the voice. You've always had the fire. It was just buried under years of doubt, fear, and playing by rules that were never written for your liberation. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to be free, and freedom begins the moment you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself every single day. In how you speak to yourself, in how you protect your energy, in how you stop apologizing for existing fully and unapologetically. You are not here to fit in. You are here to wake up, to remember, to take the pen and write a life that feels like truth, not performance. The eye-opening truth isn't always easy to hear, but it's the beginning of everything worth building, and once you see it, you'll never settle for sleepwalking through life again. You're awake now. And that's your power.